Here are words to know.
Words to know. Rectangle, square, rhombus, parallelogram, trapezoid.
All of these are quadrilaterals. All of them are four-sided figures that are closed.
How can you classify quadrilaterals? Think about this question during the lesson. A quadrilateral is any polygon with four sides. How can you tell how many sides are in a quadrilateral? Just by looking at the word quadrilateral.
If I saw the word and no picture, I would still be able to know how many sides are in a quadrilateral. What gives it away? Dylan?
The word quad.
Yes, quad, because quad means four.
The prefix quad means four, which tells you that all quadrilaterals have four sides. Quadrilaterals can be classified by their angles or pairs of sides. This is a parallelogram. Both pairs of opposite sides are parallel and equal in length. Opposite pairs of angles are also equal in measure.
Just like parallel lines, which we talked about in the very first section of this topic, parallel lines are straight lines that never cross. They will never ever cross. This line up here is parallel with the line at the bottom. They will never cross. This line right here is parallel with this line right here. If they would go on forever, they would never cross. Now, this figure here is different because the top line is parallel with the bottom line. If they went on forever, they would never cross. However, the sides, if this went on forever and this went on forever, they would cross at some point. So this is a parallelogram because the lines would never cross, never. And both pairs of angles are also equal. Oh, sorry.
This is a trapezoid. Only one pair of opposite sides is parallel. What does the word parallel mean? Parallel means that two lines never cross and are the same distance apart. How are this parallelogram and this trapezoid alike?
How are they alike? Someone besides Hadley and Abby. How are these alike? Gabe? Isosceles only goes with triangles. Okay? That's okay, Gabe. But what are both of these have? How many sides? Four. So they're both types of quadrilaterals.
They both have four sides and have at least one pair of opposite sides that are parallel.
And they each have at least one pair. The second figure only had one pair of parallel lines. The first figure had two pair of parallel lines.
This is a rectangle. It is a parallelogram with four right angles.
Why is it a parallelogram? Austin? Yes. Well, not because they're equal. A parallelogram means they are equal distance apart and they're not going to cross. This line and this bottom line are parallel. This side is parallel with this side.
How are a parallelogram and a rectangle different?
Here's the parallelogram. Here's the rectangle. We said both of them have opposite sides that are parallel. This opposite side is parallel with this one. This opposite side is parallel with this one. And the same with the rectangle. But how are these two different? Desiree?
One of them are just straight and the other one looks like it's crooked.
You're right. This one, rectangle, it does look straight. This one looks like it's crooked or tilted, turned in. What does that mean? What does that mean then? Brendan?
It has no right.
You're right. Yes, a rectangle is made of right angles. Here's a right angle, 90 degrees. 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 Parallelogram is not made of all right angles. Yes, Abby?
But that would be a rectangle. It's square because it has all equal sides.
Well, it may kind of look like it to us, that it has completely equal sides, but
Technically,
I-
they look the same. The rectangle
can't really decipher.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is wider.
Okay.
A rectangle must contain 4 90-degree angles. All rectangles are parallelograms, but not all parallelograms are rectangles.
Okay, so let's just make sure we understand that all rectangles. Oh no. How do I get back to the video?
Hit the X right.
Okay, but can I write on this?
Yes.
Okay, but I want
If
to
you have
go.
your pen, try.
I want to go.
You have to turn the pen off.
How are a parallelogram and a rectangle different?
Now, it just told us all rectangles are parallelograms because this side, oh, no, it's not. Okay, this side is equal to this side, it's parallel to this side, and this side is parallel to this one. That's a parallelogram. This side is parallel to this one, and this side is parallel to this one, okay? So both of them have two opposite parallel sides. They're both parallelograms, but it said a rectangle is a parallelogram, but a parallelogram isn't a rectangle. Why? To be a rectangle, what do you have to be, Kaden?
It has to have 490-degree angles.
Yes, it also has to have opposite sides parallel. Opposite sides parallel, that means. And then it has to have 90-degree angles. Parallelogram has opposite sides that are equal, but it does not have all 90-degree angles. So a rectangle is a parallelogram, but a parallelogram isn't always a rectangle. I know those things kind of get confused.
A rectangle must contain 4 90-degree angles. All rectangles are parallelograms, but not all parallelograms are rectangles. This is a rhombus. It is a parallelogram with all sides the same length. How are a rhombus and a parallelogram different?
Anybody know? How are they different, Corey?
He said that all angles are the same. Well, all sides are the same length.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit straighter.
Okay. Well, in a rhombus, he just said all sides are the same length. In a parallelogram, are all sides the same length? No.
A rhombus must have 4 equal sides. A parallelogram must have opposite sides equal and parallel. All rhombuses are parallelograms, but not all parallelograms are rhombuses. This is a square. The square is a rectangle with all sides the same length.
Why is a square also a rectangle? Why is a square also a rectangle? Kaden?
And the square has 490-degree angles.
Okay, because to be a rectangle, remember, to be a rectangle, it needed to have opposite sides parallel, and it needed to have 90-degree angles. Are opposite sides parallel? Yes. And angles are all 90 degrees. That's why a square is a rectangle. Okay, the square is a rectangle with all sides the same length. Here's a question to you. Is a rectangle a square? Is a rectangle a square?
No.
No. Why? Lawson? Yes, in a square has to have 90-degree angles. Hey, a rectangle has that. But in a square, all sides have to be the same measure, the same length. In a rectangle, all sides are not the same length. So, I know it gets confusing. A square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. I know. Try try to keep that straight.
Is a square also a parallelogram? Explain.
Yes or no? Who says yes? Who says no? Who didn't vote? A bunch of you. Let's try again. Raise your hand with confidence. It doesn't matter if we're wrong, we're learning. If you think a square is also a parallelogram, raise your hand. Oh, I like that. Confidence. Hands down. If you say, I don't think so. Everybody, why is a square is a parallelogram? Why? Wyatt?
Because they have like sides that are the same distance from each other.
Right. They're the same sides are parallel. Opposite sides are parallel. This side is parallel with this side. This side is parallel with this side. Oh.
Is it? Yeah, it's a major difficulty.
I am having some major difficulties. What's going on, Beth?
Yes, a square is also a parallelogram because it contains two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel and of equal length. What are the common properties of these quadrilaterals? Each quadrilateral has 4 angles, 4 sides, and at least one pair of opposite sides parallel.
Okay, so all quadrilaterals, 4 sides, that makes sense. Quad means 4. 4 angles, and at least one pair of parallel sides. So, maybe there's only one set of parallel sides, that's fine. Maybe there's 2 sets of parallel sides, that's fine. But all quadrilaterals have at least one set of parallel sides.
Now you know how to classify different quadrilaterals.